Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is your host with the most, Dr. Chris Rasmussen. I'm giving this little mini presentation here for two things. It's going to be the course that I'm offering on red flags and common simple emergencies for licensed acupuncturists. And I'm also promoting my blog article site called inflammation.com, which is also the head title of an upcoming book that I hopefully will have published by late 2013, and we'll get into that in a minute. So who am I? Well, you already got the name, Chris Rasmussen, MD. MS is for a master's degree in Chinese medicine. Why read these articles? Well, I'll tell you, there's a lot of people out there writing articles. The one thing I find that is not good with most of them is that they don't come from a very scholarly position. They tend to inject opinion. They also don't reference any of their sources, and sometimes they have an agenda. Sometimes they don't. But for me, I don't have an agenda. My only agenda is truth. Okay, I'm a seeker of truth. So when you approach a subject like vaccines, a very contentious subject, I'm going to just give you what I have researched on it. Now, if you want the CDC's version of it, well, you just go to their site. But I want to give you the other version, the one that never gets into the news, but is there nonetheless. What does the basic science say? What do all the researchers say throughout the world? Are they all in agreement? Are vaccines totally safe and effective? Well, it turns out they're not. When I actually did the research for that chapter, I was on the fence about vaccines. I didn't think that they were particularly bad or particularly good. I have since come to a very radical, different opinion of that, which I'll share with you if you check out my book. Okay, so I'm a seeker of truth, and that's basically it. Every fact that I find, I also have it referenced. So you can always check on all my sources, and all those footnotes should be completely and perfectly up to date. What makes me the expert? Well, I've had a scholarly background for 20 years. I got 20 years of clinical medical experience. I'm also a professor of medicine. I've taught at two different acupuncture colleges, one out in California at 5 branches, and then here in Chicago at Pacific College of Oriental Medicine. And I've been doing that for 10 years. What that's allowed me to do is relearn all my basic science, all the biological sciences, and then all the sciences that I teach: pharmacology, physical exam, clinical science, and pathophysiology. So you do that, I'll tell you, if you have to teach it, you really get smart, because it's a little different animal than just knowing it and then having to teach it to someone. And the students are pretty good at finding out if you're a bullshitter or not. Okay, so high school. Where did I go to high school? Just a little tiny town outside of Milwaukee. Mostly raised Italian. My mom's 100% Italian, so all Catholic grade school, Catholic high school, and actually a Catholic medical school at Georgetown. When I started college, I was on probation. I basically was a screw-off in high school. I'd be the guy that they medicate now, okay? There's no question they would have given me ADHD medication, and probably ruined my life, by the way. I started University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, that's about Central State, on probation, with my friend also started on probation, which they probably wouldn't have even accepted us now. But once I got in there, I decided I'm not going to do any more pot smoking or any of that kind of stuff, and I'm really going to buckle down, and that's exactly what I did. And I was on the dean's list the first semester, and it was smooth flying ever since, and I basically was an A machine. So I did 2 years there, and then my friend talked me into transferring to Arizona State, which was the best move I ever did. From there, I switched my major at Stevens Point. It was a combined art metals, which is jewelry making, and biology, because I was pre-dent at the time. Dr. Curtis at UW Wisconsin Stevens Point talked me into going into medicine, and I didn't really have the confidence that I thought I needed, but he really did a nice job on that and got me into it. So I switched majors to chemistry when I got out to Arizona State, and that's what I majored in, with near minors in dance and philosophy, with about 165 credits total, all kinds of different stuff. So from there, I applied to medical schools, got accepted into 4 of them, decided to matriculate at Georgetown, which is in Washington, D.C. It's a 200-year-old medical school, very well known. It was great. I loved it, actually. A little expensive at the time, I suppose, but not as bad as some of them now. From there, I went back out to Phoenix and did my internship in internal medicine, which basically you cover all the stuff that an internist would do for a year. So it gave me a basic knowledge of how to manage pretty sick people, which was very useful for anesthesia, not the type of internship that most anesthesiologists do. So from there, then I got into LA County USC Medical Center, which is the big county hospital there in Los Angeles. You can just imagine what that was like. And I'll tell you, it was 10 times worse than that. So we got tons of experience, a lot of trauma, motor vehicle accidents, you name it, drunken driving, along with high-risk pregnancy, the busiest obstetric unit in the country. So the training was awesome, and I did my cardiothoracic fellowship training at Good Sam in downtown Los Angeles. There's one of the premier heart hospitals. So I got that certificate as well, and then stayed and did private practice in the LA area for a total, counting my residency, about 10 years. I refused a professorship at USC. My chairman offered it to me, and I should have taken it. It was probably the biggest mistake I ever made, because it turns out that anesthesia is kind of boring in private practice, and as a professor, you don't have to sit in the room all afternoon, and it's a lot more exciting if you can kind of come and go and just think about stuff. You don't actually have to do it. So, nonetheless, that's what happened. I got kind of burned out on anesthesia, decided to tour the world, took my 2 sisters and my mom. We hit Europe, spent about a month there, and then my 2 sisters and I split for Kathmandu and went trekking up in the Himalayas for nearly 2 months. We went to the ancient kingdom of Mustang and beat National Geographic there by about 6 months. And then we went and toured the rest of Southeast Asia for an awesome, just horrendously cool tour, basically, of the world. When I got back, I was nice and calmed down and relaxed, and I was also turned on to Chinese medicine when I was right along the border of Tibet. So I thought that was really interesting, and I started looking into that. About that time, all of a sudden, one Christmas Eve, I was cooking spaghetti for everybody, and as I'm draining it, the big cloud of steam hit my face, and bam, that was it. I had a huge heart attack, which should have killed me. The only reason why it didn't is because I had great collateral filling because of my active life previously. When I went into that heart attack, though, I was fat. I stopped working out. I let myself go, just basically to work as much as I could because I had a huge debt to pay off. I was eating like crap. I was just a mess. Okay, I also ended up addicted to pain meds because I blew my back out, a consequence of being fat and out of shape. I also ended up with a mystery disease in my right leg about a year later after I got cathed because I had no idea I had a heart attack. I was totally in denial. That left me lame. I had metabolic syndrome, hypertension, you name it. I was so short of breath I couldn't walk about 10 feet without getting chest pain or leg pain or just getting short of breath. I was in such bad shape. So, my book that I'm writing, Inflammation, the Industrial Diner, and a Doc in the Box, documents what I did in order to come back like a phoenix out of the ashes. Repair and resurrection. If I had stayed in the commercial sick care system, I'd be dead. Okay, and I want to share this with you because there is a different way. There is a better way to do this rather than pills and procedures. And I spend a lot of time in this book. It's probably going to be 1,000 pages on what exactly you need to do. And it's all super documented. So you can take a chapter of that, photocopy it, and give it to your doctor. And there's no way that he can argue with it because he can check every footnote I've got. So I'm living proof that there's a better way to do this, okay, to cure disease and to get better. And it's not a death sentence. Even cancer can be curable depending on a bunch of different things. So you just have to read that chapter. I'm also developing a website in traditional Chinese medicine, which hopefully I'll have up by April for continuing education units. I've got about 10 courses already pre-approved for distance learning by the California Acupuncture Board. So that's the first course that I'm working on right now and should have up soon is Fundamentals of Emergency Medicine, Red Flags, and Common Simple Emergencies. I've been teaching this as a seminar for the last 10 years with overwhelmingly positive accolades. Most emergencies I've personally seen and been involved with, so my experience is firsthand on nearly all of them. I did trauma for 8 years total in the LA area. That's a lot of blood and guts and a lot of experience that comes with it. So when a patient turns sour, I can tell you exactly what they look like and what their vitals are doing, etc. Information is gleaned from maybe a dozen textbooks and also from my own clinical experience. Remember, litigation's on the rise, so if you're a licensed acupuncturist, you want to really be able to recognize when your patient isn't doing well, and then the proper things to do to address that issue. So I have a master's in TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, so I know exactly what licensed acupuncturists need and what they don't need, and when too much information is too much and when you're not getting enough. So let's have fun with this. Hopefully I won't bore you to tears. I've got a lot of really cool images that I spent months and months and months retrieving for you, so as to make it fun and interesting. I've got a good sense of humor, and hopefully I'll try and use it as we do these presentations. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you soon.